Okay, so the port and baffle's out. Had one of the teammates help me. We sectioned it off and then just knocked it out. Actually went a lot easier than I thought, which is good. Got everything cut out yesterday as far as the baffle new port pieces. I'm going to do the same thing with my old wall. I don't know if I remember saying it. The sort of middle divider with the 245s to main. So got the middle piece in, sanded down the round over a little bit, drew out my port lines, made sure I had the little brace sort of deal center. Got to caulk that. I'm letting the glue dry first. You can see my freehand line wasn't the best, but at least there is some good contact behind it. So other than that, I need to cut this out on the baffles. They're still squared off. It's just 4 7/8 in, 4 7/8 in. Okay, so after a few tests and a little bit of cutting, I think we got it pretty good. The height is good. It even stays, it's basically pressure fitted in there, and it could probably hold a sub. So basically had to use flathead like that, knock the baffle in, and pull the flathead out. But I mean, you can see there's a little wiggle, but it's in there pretty good. Okay, can't remember where I left off. I went out of town for a few days, so work kind of abruptly halted. About to put some caulk or silicone along those lines, and then the back of this baffle just for extra, you know, whatever it's worth. Then put a little bit of wood filler on the screw holes and anything that's kind of going to show. I think I'm going to have to put some on those pocket holes at the bottom, because I think they're going to show through the port. Those two screws there that hold the top 2x4 in, which is basically my mounting spot for the seal-off panels. And other than that, I think after that I put the port in, then put the other baffle, then put the other port in, put the brace in, you know, silicone everything, and then paint the port, and then start working on getting the front looking good, and then hopefully load subs. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out, but I think that's the sort of order that basically heading. Okay, so this is where I'm at so far. If you're wondering what these little lips are right here, I cut out 14s and then forgot that the B2 basket is 14 1/4, so I just rerouted basically the inner inch out to 14 1/4, and then it gives it enough clearance once it gets all the way in to skip over that. So that's what that's for. But this is pretty much in, not braced obviously. This one, you can tell it's a lot different with the port and then the brace in. So for this one, you need to figure out where the 2x4 in the back's going, sand that down, silicone the inside of this side, still need to put the port in, and then sand some of the stuff on that divider. Okay, so both baffles, both ports are in, the sort of divider deal's in. I made sure I had the proper port area at the rear and at the front, but need to caulk the rest of the port, caulk the inside of this, put the 2x4 in. I'll probably do some Bondo just to try and get rid of this as much as possible. It's sort of the pulp side of the MDF where it's not as smooth. So hopefully it'll be a little bit harder to see when the paint goes on. But yeah, I think that's all for now. I'm gonna do the rest of this stuff off camera and get wrapped up for the day. Probably go buy some stuff to tape it off tomorrow and hopefully start painting in the next day or two.